combination of PowerPoint and live display using the product 9.3. So here's some of the highlights. There's a new login page. I'll show you that in a second. There's new alerts. 2 different new alerts. I'll talk about each of those. There are new reports. There's a multiple graph view where you can select up to 8 graphs from the same tag and put it all into a single page, and that can be saved as a batch report if you like. The user activity export report now can include up to 5 Active Directory fields. There's new LAMUM LAM fields for PO and for extended vendor information. And we also will provide additional support for Altium Nexus Vault licenses, Codemeter licenses, and Sentinel HASP LDK, which supports the Zemax usage monitoring. So let's go live and I'll show you some of these things, and we'll come back to the slide presentation in a minute. Let's see. All right, so this is the new login page for 9.3. This will be your logo here, not ours. And otherwise, you still have the same access to the user manual down below, but you just basically plug in your name here, your password, and you can get in and have some fun. Otherwise, this part of it's the same as what you're used to. So there's not a whole lot different there. So let's go look at the new alerts. So under the alerts tab now, you'll find 2 additional ones: the duplicate license checkout alerts and the denial threshold alerts. Those are the 2 new ones in 9.3. Let's look at the denial threshold alert. You pick a tag and a feature, and you say, I want to be notified if there are more than, let's say, 10 alerts in a week. If so, send me an email. And pretty much that's it. You just submit that. And so now I have an alert set up for that feature based on the number of denials in a given period of time. You can set that value at whatever you want. Then, of course, you can set the frequency. How often do you want to be alerted by hour or by minute? So that's the new denial threshold alert. If you're tracking denials and you want to set a limit, that could be worthwhile to you. The other one is the duplicate checkout alert. And again, this is set by a particular feature. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my name. And if I get any engineer that checks out more than 1 MATLAB license on this server, it's going to send me an alert. And that's pretty much it. You just hit submit, and I have a duplicate license checkout alert set for that. So if you have people that tend to check out more than 1 license and you want to restrict that, you can just set that up as a duplicate license checkout alert. And again, you can set the alert interval anywhere from every 5 minutes to every 60 minutes if you want. So those are the 2 new alerts under the alerts tab: the denial threshold alert and the duplicate license checkout alert. The next item in the PowerPoint was the new multiple graph display, and that's under batch. So there's a thing down at the bottom of batch called multiple graph view select, and you pick a tag. Let's just pick the NX tag in a feature. And so these are the set of graphs. So this is basically creates a set of graphs for that feature on that tag. And you can save this as a batch report. I can set it up as a favorite any way you want. Now you go to this little box up here in the upper left corner, and that's a drop down, which allows you to display the graph, add it as a favorite, or as you'll see in a minute, you can create your batch report from here. But it lists all the different graphs that are available in the different time periods that are available. And so let's just say that, oh, I only want to see, I want to see the heat map, but I don't really need to see that one or that one. And then you submit that. And so the new set of graphs is only the graphs that you selected. And if I wanted now to create a batch report, there's an option now to create batch report. And so I can get that set of graphs weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever I want. So that's how you would select the graphs that you want. So initially, it's, you're going to get the complete set of graphs for that tag, that feature in that tag, and then you come in here, up here in the upper left corner, and you can select or deselect the graphs that you, well, deselect the ones that you don't want, and then decide how you want to set that up as a favorite or as a batch report. So that's new. Let's get out of here. All right, so that's the multi-graph view select, up to 8 graphs for the same tag, and it's creates a single page with those graphs in it. And of course, if it's a batch, it's going to be a PDF. The next one is the user activity report batch export with Active Directory information. And so what we're talking about here is a batch user activity export now allows you to add Active Directory information, right here. So if you have that selected, and then you select, so you would select a tool just like you would normally to create a user activity export. And you can output that to Excel or to JSON, JSON if you're going to use Tableau. This has always been in there 9.2. But if you're going to dump it to Excel, it adds the Active Directory fields up to 5. So rather than just try to generate that now, because this is a batch report, it's generated in the middle of the night, either weekly, monthly, quarterly, or whatever. I'll just show you what the new output looks like. So this is the Excel output from the user activity export. And these fields have always been in there, but we've added name, email, phone, office, and department from Active Directory. And so as we're generating this new report in the middle of the night, it's going to Active Directory and it's pulling out the information on each of these users right here. So that's available to you. And again, to include or not include Active Directory is a simple button here. You can either select it or deselect it if you don't want the Active Directory information in that user activity export. The other thing was new LAM fields and labels. For those of you that are using the LAM side of the tool, if you look at a PO, you'll see, let's just do an edit on these POs here. Notice now that you can actually change the field names for whatever documents you have attached to this PO number. You can create your own names if you don't like what we have already in here. So that's new in 9.3. And those of you that are using LAM and using the PO field, I think will find this very useful. I mean, if you want to leave that as the PO, that's fine. Also, we have extended vendor fields available now in the inventory report. I have to try to remember where I saw this now. If I come over here to the reports, see if is it over here that I saw that? Yeah, you're getting more data now in these inventory reports than what you got initially. I'm trying to remember which field. Oh, here it is right here. This is the extended inventory report by vendor. So you pick a vendor, let's just say Cadence. And so now I'm getting, if you've used this before, you don't get this much data in the inventory report, but now you're getting all this appropriate fields, I guess, for this particular vendor in this one report. So for those of you that are using LAM and tracking inventory, you might find this useful to have more data available in the inventory report. So that's kind of a quick summary of page 1 of our slide deck. So I just went through everything on here. You saw the new LAM login page. You saw the alerts. You saw the multiple graph view select. The Active Directory fields in the user activity export. You saw these 2 additional elements in the LAM side of the tool. And there's really not a whole lot to show here other than, I guess I could show you that these are in the license type drop down now. So these 3, Altium, we've always had Altium, but now we've added Altium Nexus Vault, which I believe is the cloud version of Altium. Codemeter's new, and we've always had Sentinel RMS, but now we've added Sentinel HASP/LDK. Don't ask me what LDK means, but that supports Zemax. We now can monitor and report usage on Zemax if that's something you're interested in. And there may be other applications that use this, I don't know. And just to prove to you that, let's just cancel out of here and get back to licenses, and just to show you that they're in the drop down for license type here. You'll see Codemeter, Altium, Nexus, and what was the other one? Oh, here it is here, Sentinel HASP LDK. Yeah, so they're there if you want to, and there are app notes up on our website. So if you want to set up Sentinel HASP or Codemeter or Altium Nexus, go up to our website under resources and find the appropriate app note, and it'll walk you through how to do it. If you need more help, we're certainly here to work with you on that too. So that's page 1 of our 9.3 highlights. Continuing. So we have new on the graph side, a min-max license usage. Now this is not something I can show you because it really applies to long periods. So anything more than 7 days. So a 1 month report, 90 day, 180 day, 365. This is going to become more meaningful because in LAM, in LAMUM, we can't show every data point. So the one thing that we've changed is that we do show at least the maximum and the minimum data points. Let me just read to you what Alfred says. So we've grouped the graphs differently to include the minimum and maximum data points in a given period more than 7 days. When you choose a graph, there are many data points, and it's not practical to plot all these data points in a graph. So we group the points and display the necessary ones. The maximum and the minimum usages are necessary so that it is displayed. So I'm not sure if that answers or totally explains what this is, but at least you'll see the maximum and the minimum usage in those long period reports. The next one is multiple feature graph. So this now includes a combined option. Let me show you what that looks like. For those of you that use the combined feature graph, that's over here, combined feature graph. If you click on that, first, I'm sorry, did I say, is it multiple? Let me go back here. It's not combined feature, I misspoke. It's the multiple feature graph. So the multiple feature graph, then you pick a tag, and so you have all of these features, and you can click off the features that you want to plot together. And in the past, you didn't have this button, being able to combine them together. If you click that, then you can combine them together. So if I clicked off, now in this example here, I'm not sure what we're actually collecting data on. So I'm just grabbing a few features and I'll plot it for 7 days. The combined feature, it may or may not show the, yeah. So the problem here is that we don't have usage on anything but this NX13100N. I'm using my demo, but if I had usage on these other features here, you'd see the usage on those, and then up above here you would see a black, or I think it's dark gray, which is the combined total use for the features that you have selected here. So that's new, and you get to that just essentially by clicking the features that you want to see in a single graph plotted in the same period, and just click this combine graph, and that would just give you the individual usage plus the combined total usage of those features. Hopefully that's clear. That's the multiple feature graph. We've also added a multiple feature table. This is new. And essentially it's the same. You go up here and now there's the multiple feature graph and there's the multiple feature table. And if I pick a specific feature or tool, and then I pick a set of features, whatever feature set you want, up to 6 features in a time period, it'll generate a table essentially, which gives you all the gory details. And this table for those features actually is 267 lines long. I'm only showing 30 right now, but this gives you essentially a table version of the multiple feature graph. So that's here, multiple feature table. So I don't know if you need that. You can play around with it, see if you like it. Gas gauge display now includes tag name wrapping, feature tag name wrapping, and let me explain what that is. So if we come over here to the gas gauges, you'll notice that the feature name and the tag name are on top now, and it will automatically scroll to include everything. So what we found is that we had some customers that had long feature names, long tag names, and when we had that here below, it would truncate it on the front and the back end, and it might be hard to understand what feature tag combination you're looking at. So we moved it to the top, and it does have auto scrolling, so you'll always see the full feature name and the tag name. The other thing that we added while we're here is the zero display. In the past, you only saw the active checkouts, but now if you just click zero usage display, it'll bring up everything that's checked out plus everything that isn't checked out. So again, this could get kind of big, needless to say, but some customers have asked to see the zero use stuff. And again, this auto syncs. This will automatically update itself every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time interval you have set here under data collection, it'll automatically update itself. So you may want to keep this page open all the time in the background, or you can set it up as a favorite or as a on-demand link by saving the URL up here. So that's gas gauge feature name wrapping, feature tag name wrapping. I showed you that, and then the zero use feature, all the features displayed as well now. We just showed you that. The next big piece of 9.3 is SSO. Some of you know what SSO is, some of you don't really care, and I get it. SSO stands for single sign-on. Many defense aerospace companies need this. They want to use their in-house entry system to get into our application. There is an app note up on our website about all you got to do is go to Team EDA resources and on the search box type in SSO, and it'll bring up the document that describes how to do this. It's not trivial. A little more on SSO. It's a proprietary way to identify access management, IAM, whatever that is, that enables users to securely authenticate with multiple applications and websites by logging in only once. And the first question you have to ask is, do I really need this? And usually that's something set by company policy. So if you don't have a company policy where you need single sign-on, don't even worry about this. Just keep going like you're going. But if you have a company policy where you need to incorporate SSO where possible, then investigate this. We use this SAML2 protocol to enable SSO through secure tokens. Don't ask me what that is. This is a link here, so if you come back to the website, this will take you right to that single sign-on app note that I talked about. It's basically about how to integrate SSO in front of the LAMUM. So what's going to disappear is your LAMUM login page. But before you do that, a few things have to happen. One is you need to be at 9.3, so you may have to update to 9.3. Two is the people that are going to have access to LAMUM, you need to have them already loaded in the LAMUM settings page as users with specific permissions. As you know, you've got admin, manager, or null, or some combination gives people different permissions. Hopefully you know how to issue those permissions, but you need to have all those users already set up in there with their permissions, and then you can implement the SSO option. If you get stuck or have questions about SSO, please write to support@teameda.com, and we'll try to answer your questions. Again, we did this more for our defense aerospace customers, but we do have other customers that that want SSO. They're not defense aerospace. So again, you have to look into your company policy on this subject. This is a flow diagram, which I'm not going to get into because it's sort of above my head. But if you want to come back here and investigate the flow diagram on SSO implementation, you certainly can do that. I would strongly suggest that you go to the app note first on a website and maybe take a look at this flow chart and consult with support@teameda.com and see if it, if something that you want to do. But we do support this now. Going back over here. Oh, that's where I was. So we talked about SSO and integrated app note. We talked about that. All right, so another feature that was added in 9.3, I think you're going to like this one. This is a restricted view to the current tab only. So as you know, if you use 8182 currently, it takes you to the usage home tab, which gives you pretty much access to all of the generally used usage reports. And so we've had customers that say, I want to restrict, I only want people to see one view. So if you come back over here and go to the overview, this is current overview. And so what I did here is there's a button here for a restricted real-time only. Click restricted. So if I click on restricted, notice what I'm getting now is just the one tab. It's the current tab. That's all you can see. Yes, you can go in and see current status on any of these features that are available here. Yes, I can, drill in and see the details from here. Current checkout details. So it's really restricted to just the current checkout reports. And notice there are no other tabs here. And if you want to give this out, that URL, which happens to say restricted in it, will essentially restrict people to this one view, be it, and you can add the zero usage stuff to this if you want. So pretty much everything else is there, but it's a restricted view of current checkout data only. And again, I can get to any of the details from here. I can get to the gas gauges from here. So hopefully, you'll find this useful if you are giving out URLs and you want to restrict people to just the current checkout reports. You've got it now in 9.3. I want to say, does anybody have any questions? But you're going to hit me at the end here, right? All right, so where are we here? So I just talked about that. This last item here is disabled license file radio button in LAM for non-flex LM licenses. So going back over to LAM, I'm in the restricted view. Oh, I have to go up here. So if I go back to licenses here and I do an edit, I have the ability to add a license file, but it's not clear that the license files that we can incorporate into LAM are only FlexLM license files. And so that's going to be determined by the license type you pick here. So if I pick FlexLM, then I will have access to a license file. And I can save a license file, I can read a license file, but it has to be FlexLM only. If I picked Reprise over here, RLM, this radio button is not going to be active. See, up here it tells me, well, it tells me that it's only for FlexLM. So if I went back and changed this to FlexLM, and then came back over here to license file, it gives me the ability now to go in and select add a new license file, but these are all FlexLM license files. So most of you probably don't even deal with the license file, but you can in LAM. But it's just the FlexLM license files that we can include in here. And if you do have a license file included, it does give you the ability to, just to show you what's possible. I don't know why are we in a filter mode here? Yeah, let me take that out of there. Some of these actually have license files. Not sure which one it is. No, that was a good guess there. So we have a license file here. Here's the path to the license file. And if I click on this, it actually brings up a license file. This is again, it's a FlexLM license file. So if you wanted to actually include the license file in with your license line item here, you can do that in LAM. I'm not sure y'all were aware of that. But again, you add only FlexLM license files. And if it's not a FlexLM license file, then you don't have the ability to pick this button. Okay, it's not letting me in this case. All right, so with that said, I think now we've completed everything in the new SSO we talked about, SSO Flow, bug fixes in 9.3. So I'll just have to talk about some of these. Expiration alert days remaining not displayed in an email. So we have an expiration alert email for an expiring license, and for some reason the days remaining wasn't showing up. So we fixed that. So now you'll actually see in that email the number of days until expiration, for what that's worth. Accurate graph usage across multiple time periods not accurate. So the problem with this, if you're trying to compare like a 1-day usage graph with a 7-day or a 30-day graph, you know, the numbers might not look, they may not match up, because in our graphing algorithms, we sort of average things out. So we don't show everything there, but this is now accurate, so that if you try to compare, you know, a 1-day history graph with a 7-day history graph or with a 1-month history graph, the user numbers of users should be the same. I don't know, some of you probably didn't even know that, but yeah, it was an averaging, was the way we were displaying the data. The information is correct, the data is correct, but now everything will look consistent across multiple period history graphs. Favorites tab. In the favorites tab, for some reason, we could not save user detail. There's 3 reports that didn't seem to work for favorites, for the favorites tab. I assume everybody knows what I'm talking about, the favorites tab. The user detail, the group detail, and the user denials reports, those are 3 different reports. We're not saving into the favorites tab. And I have no idea why, but that's been fixed. So now when you look at the favorites tab, you know, you'll be able to see all of those types of reports here as well. This is a pretty nice feature of 9.2, is the favorites tab. So you can get any of these reports here just by clicking on the link. It's like saving the URL out on your browser to a favorite in your browser, but now you can save that as a favorite right here under the favorites tab. So you don't even have to go outside of LAMUM to get the same result. These are all on-demand reports. All right, so that's been fixed. The history graph by group, not correct. So you can do a history graph by group, but for some reason it wasn't correct. And now it's correctly showing, because when we, I guess the bug is that it was the history graph was showing you the graph for all users, not just the group members, which is not too cool. So, I mean, if you're doing a history graph by group, you only want to see those group members, right? So we fixed it so it does that. Hopefully that's clear. So if you're doing group graphs, you'll probably be happy to know that. The LAM vendor import probably doesn't affect anybody here because you're already customers, you already have your vendors in there. But just to show you what I'm talking about here, there was a bug over here. If you're adding a new line item, oops, I'm in the wrong place. Vendors, if you're adding a new vendor, oops, that's not what I wanted either. I do import. So under vendors tab, there's a button called import under each one of these. If I do an import, we used to have a list of all the EDA vendors, MDA vendors, and all the pharmaceutical vendors here, and you just click on that and it pulls in all the vendor names for EDA, MDA, or pharma. Those weren't working. So we fixed it, but I'm sure nobody really cares. LAM Current Inventory Reports now report even expired licenses. So looking at my notes here. Yeah, so the inventory reports now include even expired inventory reports. Okay, so we go back over here to LAM. I'm going to go back out of LAM, out of here. Just get back over here and go to settings. I want to go to reports. So I guess in some of these, we weren't showing expired licenses if they were expired before, but now we're showing, you know, even expired licenses. Don't ask me why you would be tracking inventory on expired licenses, but you might be. So we show the expired licenses now as well. LAM Current Inventory Reports. Oh, that's what I just talked about. Okay, the last bug is that our in the averages report, which if you haven't used the averages report, it's a great report. There's two available. One is by tag. So over here under average, there's an averages report here for each tag, and then there's up here a comprehensive averages report, which shows averages across all these tags. And there's a lot of really, really good, useful information here. Let me just show you. Let's just grab this. Well, this is only going to have one feature. This might have 3 features, I think. 7 days. So we have 2 features at least on this tag that have been used in the last 7 days, and it gives you, you know, the tag name, capacity, how many total hours were used. Each of these features were used in the last 7 days. Average checkout time, average number of users, and then over here the percent of total. So there was some confusion over what does that mean. Oh, by the way, if you weren't aware, you can change the colors in these percentages if you want. They're down at the very bottom. You might not have realized that, but there's an edit color threshold. So you can change the colors on this if you want, or the percentages for each color. I'm not going to get into that, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that we changed the algorithm for the usage percent. And that's this. This is the average usage percent algorithm now. Average usage percent is the total usage by all users divided by the max potential usage if capacity were fully used. So if you have 10 licenses and there's 24 hours in a day and it's a 7-day report, you know, for 10 licenses, that's going to be a huge number. This number is going to be essentially this number here. This is total usage by all users divided by the potential capacity if fully used. So we think that's more accurate reflection of the average percent usage. We did revise our averages history report app note. They're up on our website. If you're interested in the averages report and you want to get more details on what each of these things mean in this view here, you know, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? It gives you the formulas for all of those essentially up this app note. Just go to our website, resources, type in averages, and read that report. All right, so that's that. Let's see, the only thing other than We talked about third-party upgrades. We haven't talked about it, but I'm going to talk about it now. We've upgraded Apache, we've upgraded Apache Tomcat, and we've upgraded PHP. That's all we've upgraded in this release, and these are the releases in there. Some of you probably don't even know or care, but some of you do. So that's pretty much a complete overview of the product. Wow.
I have a question, Guy.
Sure.
You know how you could display multiple features in the same graph?
Yep.
Is there a way to display multiple features in their own graphs instead of overlaid over each other?
Oh, sure. That's the nature of these graphs here. I mean, this is going to be specific to a tag and specific to a single feature. So yeah, you can do each of these graphs separately. If you want to do them separately, sure.
Can I get them all on the same screen? Can I just like select everything and just be like, give me an individual history graph for every feature on the same page and just scroll through them?
Well, we can do that by tag. So over here under batch, there's something called feature usage by tag, table feature usage by tag graph. This is a batch report. So this will, for instance, if you have a tag that has, say, 30 features in it, this report right here will generate, you have to pick the feature that you want and all that and the time period. And it's a batch report. So if it's, say, weekly, once a week, you're going to get a complete set of graphs for that tag automatically. But that's a batch report. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking.
Yeah, as long as I have to look at all the features for several of the products that we have.
Yep.
So I just need a dump of all features for a certain amount of time, so I can determine what features. Like for instance, MATLAB has a bunch of toolboxes and stuff.
Yep.
So I got to look at each toolbox to see where we're at with usage.
That's exactly what this will give you. It's a batch report, so you're going to have to set it up weekly, monthly, whatever period. We can also do that by table. So if you wanted to see all of the gory details, the users and all that, that would be the table version. But if all you want to see is just the graph, the usage graph, this will do it for you.
Yeah. Usually I just want to see usage over time, right? For like 90 days or 180 days or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. You pick the feature that you want and the time period that you want here. And, for what tag, you got to pick a tag and it'll generate, the whole thing for you. In fact, you can be selective. For instance, if I picked NX, so now notice I have all these features and I can just pick the ones that I want, or you can use the control, to pick, I only want to see those graphs in one batch report weekly. You can do that with this. So it's either graphs or tables. Okay. Any other questions? Was that a no? Everybody's good? Everybody happy? Everybody healthy?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Guy.
All right, stay healthy, everyone. Thank you very much. Again, we'll post this probably tomorrow. Dash will send out an announcement if you want to come back and review what we talked about today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Guy.
Yep, thank you.